Bonjour! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Fasten up your seatbelt and enjoy this journey into Muse World with Lamia Norbert.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of Muse World. Happy Valentine's Day, because the day that we're recording this is actually Valentine's Day. I hope you're all having a beautiful Valentine celebration. But today I want to introduce my guest. So she is relatively young for a life coach. Her name is Laura. Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's incredible to believe that actually you are a life coach at 18 years old.
Yes.
But before we dig into obviously what brought you into, becoming a life coach, what I'm interested about is how was your early years? Where are you from? What brought you to Dubai?
Yes, so I'm originally from Lithuania,
Okay.
but I consider myself from everywhere because I've had different experiences. I lived in Belgium, Azerbaijan,
Okay.
and then Dubai. So very international.
Interesting. And how do you feel your childhood may have been different to someone else, I would say?
I think I've experienced many different schools. So I went to a public school, a private school, and then I did homeschooling and online schooling. So I
Okay.
did all kinds. So I'm really comfortable with anything. Yeah.
So do you think you have obviously something that you prefer a little bit more?
I think in person is very special.
Yeah.
You understand that. I think through COVID, you really understand how connection matters and you can't lose it at all. And I think I've learned that, through different cultures, everyone is the same in a way that we all want the same things. We all
Of
have
course.
the human needs. So I think it's very beautiful. Yeah.
Now, I can completely relate to you because obviously I was born in Madagascar, and as I said, I'm half Mauritian, but my life has always been between living two islands, and it was already hard. Now I'm putting myself in your shoe, and I'm like, oh my God, how did you manage? Obviously, because you must have had different friendship group. You built a certain, a circle, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to another country. How did you manage that?
So I think a lot of people, when I go back home, actually ask me this question. And it's really interesting because I think there's benefits and, things that could be better, because someone is like saying, oh, so you always move. That means your friends always change. But I actually say, but isn't that a benefit for me? Because you also grow. So that means you don't, someone who you're friends for 7 years, that doesn't mean you're going to be the same,
Of course.
if you're living in the same location. So I think I've understood that. Actually, I take it as a blessing, because the real people, you have a real connection, you'll always stay together. And, you go back and it's like nothing ever happened. So the most important thing is making sure that, you want to have that connection. So
I hear you. And I think already, I knew it from the first day I met you. I can see how for 18 years old, you're already very mature. The way that you see life or express yourself, I can see that the reasoning is really mature for someone who's so young. But do you think that obviously this life experience that you had as a child helped you to kind of shape who you are today?
Of course. So actually, going into why I'm more mature than, people my age, it's because my parents went through a divorce.
Okay.
And so early on, I understood that there's something inside of me that's, that I need to get help for. So what started happening, I was like, I don't want to repeat the patterns my parents had. So then I started diving deeper and understanding that actually these are the things, if I don't work out, I'm going to pass on to other, my family and the generational. So I was like, no, I'm going to cut this. So I started actually, getting therapists. And then I understood that actually therapy wasn't the right thing for me. So then I started getting a life coach and other people involved. Until now, I understood that actually this is why I had to go through all of this. Because, when you go through something hard, it's actually hard to remember that, why are you doing this? Some days you're like, I just want to give up. I don't want to do this anymore. why am I going through so much suffering? You know, what's my purpose? And so I kind of understood that it goes back to now I can connect the dots that I couldn't connect. And it's because I'm becoming a life coach. You know,
Yeah.
I chose, this is my path. And maybe before I would have been like, you know, there's no point of me going through so much pain. You know, I had panic attacks and just a lot of fears.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I wish I was you when I was 18. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I really, really wish like I had that much wisdom at 18. Because my parents are obviously was separated and got divorced when I was relatively young. You know, you're young, you don't understand what's happening. It's normal for you. For me, it was normal to have my mom in Mauritius with me and my dad in Madagascar. Absolutely normal. But then, you know, when you start going to school and you see your friends, you're like, huh, okay, that's weird. What's happening there, you know?
Yeah.
And I think personally, I'm going to be 30 this year. And I think to kind of heal and start healing that inner child, I only started that journey last year. And now I can say I'm in a better place. But there's a lot of people right now that you will see, they realize that very later on in time. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm, you know, everyone comes to their realization at the right time. But it's just beautiful to see that obviously you've realized that earlier on, you know?
I think, you know, it's really interesting because a lot of people say, oh, you're so mature. So, you know, I wish I was like that. And my first thing is, you know, again, it's better to come at some point than never.
100%.
So it obviously has some amazing benefits, but then also there's some downsides, you know, when I'm like, you know, I'm only 18, Laura, have some fun, relax, you know, like, and then it's like, but I have a purpose and I cannot just relax.
Yeah.
I can see how many people need help.
Yeah.
And so that means I need to, you know, focus on the things that I can do so I can help the fastest way. Because I know when I was reaching for help, you know, it wasn't just put on a table and like, this is the solution.
Yeah.
There's no handbook.
Yeah.
So you start understanding that no one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
You have to go and save yourself.
100%.
So it was just like, okay, I know I want to live a different reality and I have to get working on it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's been now probably 4 years on the self-development journey, you know, so from 14.
Yes.
I started,
Wow.
so it's
That's
really
good.
crazy. And then that's really what, when people are like, you're 18. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know how much I went through, you know, even like if you're 50, you know, and you're a life coach, which is amazing, you don't have all the wisdom in your life. And I understood that this wisdom is not coming from me. It's just coming from the above. So it's something, you know, your purpose. Yeah.
It's crazy. 14. Wow. Wow. I wish I was like you at 14. But now my question is, obviously, because you mentioned it just now, don't you feel, because obviously you had that breakthrough earlier on, did you ever feel like you were missing out on your early years or let's say your teenage years? Because that's the age, like even me, I would say as a teenager, that's the year that you're finding yourself, you're understanding life, you're some people are partying, some people are discovering life, I would say, in another way that you did. Did you ever feel like left out or like nobody's understanding what I'm going through, basically?
I think definitely there were periods where I was like, what is going on? Why am I having to deal with these things? And, you know, I was actually, this was a personal story. I was sitting in class and I remember, you know, my English teacher was like, okay, let's talk about grammar today. And he's writing something on the board and I just space out. And I remember I'm like, how does it feel to be in my mom's belly? Like, why am I here today? Like, and then I was like having these, you know, very deep thoughts and they're not even maybe thoughts. It's just like a gut instinct.
Yeah.
And then I knew that there was something beyond this. And I knew there was something that you cannot explain because I turned to my friend and I'm like, hey, do you also think the same way? Like, are you having these thoughts? Like, if this is how we feel to be alive, how does it feel not to be alive?
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, you know, I'm not going to ask them that, you know.
Of course.
But I wanted to. And now I realize that there's many of us that are on this journey, you know. Like, we need to realize that life is precious, life is short. but what do you want to leave behind? You know, at the end of the day, what's your legacy? Like, how do you want to leave this earth a better place?
That's beautiful, and that's well said. I'm just like in like, wow. I'm like, oh, she's 18 and she's just bringing me so much wisdom right now, and it's great. Honestly, I actually believe it's a gift, you know. But now that obviously you've been through this, you've started this journey 4 years ago. I want to know. Obviously, you explained that it started with your parents getting divorced. But what was the thing that made you realize that, okay, I need to work on that now? What was that breakthrough moment, I would say?
That's a very good question. I think the breakthrough moment was when I was having those panic attacks and I was like, this doesn't serve me. How am I going to help someone, you know? And realizing that was just like everyone else is, you know, doing normal things. And I'm like, I feel like I can't do the normal things. But anytime I was in sports, I was excelling in sports.
Yeah.
Anytime I was doing anything, it was just like a gift. But when I needed to do normal things, I couldn't. And so I realized, like, you know, at one point that I need to figure out how I can use this fear, these things, how can I turn it around so I can start living my life and helping others. You know, at the end of the day, this journey is not for me. I know I'm not going through this for myself. If I would, I don't think I would have made it.
Yeah,
you have to believe there's, you know, other people who need the help now. So that's why you keep putting in the work and showing up every day. So
do you think that is basically what, like, that's your drive basically into like, okay, I know what it feels like and I don't want someone else to feel the same way?
Yes, empathy, compassion, all of these things.
Now, my other question is, obviously, when you're going through that journey, you are, like we've mentioned now multiple times, is obviously more mature, more advanced than anyone from your age group. Did you ever feel like a bit of a imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I definitely, actually, because I finished high school last semester, and you know, I had a school reunion, so you know, every year they do this, and I went back to, you know, my campus, and I was like, damn, how much have I changed? But also, like, it was so interesting that I felt like I was coaching my teachers. You know, you look up to these teachers and you're like, you show up every day to class and, you know, they're going to teach you this amazing material. And, you know, I'm there, I'm like, I'm going to take all of it. I'm really interested. I'm, you know, committing, you know, for myself. And then there are people who are just having fun and, you know, playing around. And I'm like, do you guys understand the value you're getting and you're missing out right now?
Yeah.
And so definitely there were times, you know, when people are like, let's go party. And I'm like, I don't feel like partying. I don't understand. Like, I know what it feels to be in a very, very bad place.
Yeah.
So why would you want to make it worse by drinking, you know, or whatever other, smoking, alcohol? Like, these substances are not just substances. There is a reason why you're doing it.
Yep.
You know, you understand, you're looking for connection.
Yep.
There was something, you know, from childhood trauma.
Yes.
And when you understand that, it's like, for me, it's like, you're just showing up as a weak person because you cannot deal with your things and you're going to substances and you're not even aware of it.
And I think there's also a part of, obviously, you know, when you're at a young age, you're a teenager, you want to fit in, you know, you don't want to be that kid that is not fitting in. You want to be that kid that is also drinking, partying and all of that. So I can imagine, but what do you personally, did you ever feel like, oh, I'm missing out into like partying?
Yeah, I had that. Actually, I remember I was sitting at home and my friends, like not my friends, but my classmates, I saw on Instagram, you know, social media is a big part of Gen Z. And I was like, oh, they're out. They must be having so much fun. And I was like, okay, fine. It's valid to think you want to fit in. Okay, next time they're having a party, I'm going to go. So I went. And I was like, this is what I'm missing out. This is not called missing out at all. Like, you're not even having proper conversations. You're you're, you know, getting drunk and helping your friend vomit. Is that like your quality time on Friday? Like for me, it's like that's a waste of time. And I understand that, you know, you can have a drink. I'm not judging you for it. But what are you starting off, like what's your mood? You know, are you doing it to numb you? Or are you doing it, you know, because you're already in a great position and you just want to have a glass of wine and because you're enjoying the time and, you know, that's it. You're under control.
Yeah.
But usually what's happening is the opposite, right? If you're already...
I mean, when you're young, I completely understand. When you're young, you're free and you're like, you know.
But you're not free now?
I mean, you are, but I think when you, like at my age now, I come to a point where I don't see the purpose for me to drinking my night away. You know, I would rather, honest to God, have a peaceful night.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe enjoy a couple of good glass here and there. Or even like alcohol is just like, okay, if I want the taste of it a little bit, okay, I'll have it. But if not, it's also fine for me. Have a good time either with friends or even by myself and just chill because I want to feel fresh the next day.
Yeah, you want to remember what happened.
Exactly. But if you were to ask me this question a couple of years back, no, for me it was normal to go out. Like before there was a time in my life where I would be able to go 3 days in a row drinking and smashing myself and be like, yeah, it's good.
So cool. Let's do it together.
Cool.
Repeat again.
I'm ready. La la la. Like I would recover very, very quickly about like one night. Now, no. Like now, sometimes after 2 drinks, I'm like, okay, I'm having a headache. That's it. I'm done. You know. And also, I think priorities change. You know. Before it was like, oh, I want to live my life. You have a YOLO kind of vibe, you know. And now it's like I am still living my life, but I'm living my life in a much more healthy and fulfilling way, in my opinion, because I'm feeling healthier. I do much more things that I have done in my early years, which I could have done if I mean, it's not a waste. It's all experience. I never consider anything as a waste. There's
no regrets.
Exactly. Like, honestly, everything I've been through, how I've led my life so far, there's literally no regrets.
Because you can't go back and change it.
Exactly.
So you can just learn.
Exactly. It is what it is. And I think life is a journey. You know, you keep improving yourself step by step. And you're like, okay, it was nice. Now, if you ask me, sometimes when I talk about these memories, I'm like, wow, I remember that time. It was beautiful. I had fun, you know. You remember these kind of things. And when you meet up with, for example, I've met 2 friends. So one in December and one recently. I met 2 friends with who I went to uni when I did my master's with. And we were talking about our time in London. And it was like, wow, can you imagine? And now one is a mother. Now is another one. She's like starting up her business. And you're like, it's crazy how time has changed and how time flies so fast, you know. But you don't regret anything. You're just like, it's been beautiful.
I think, you know, what's really important to realize is that when you're comparing yourself, it's who am I comparing myself to?
Yeah.
And you realize these people, they have so many insecurities.
Yeah.
And why was I comparing myself in the first place? Obviously, it's a survival mechanism. We want to fit in as a, you know, tribe. You needed to be similar. But once you realize that if these people don't have the same values, you should be changing your group,
100%.
Changing who you're surrounding yourself with. Because at the end of the day, the people who are going to succeed are the people who are going to lift you up, not criticize you.
Yep.
So, you know, if these people are drinking and having fun, you know, let them. But I'm choosing, this is my personal opinion. I know that I need to put in the work because life is short and I can see that people need my help. And my soul, like I say, is very wise. So I have this gut instinct that for me, there's no need to go to the bar. You know, the people who we're going to connect with, you know, we're going to attract each other.
Yep.
So whether it's in a bar, whether it's, you know, at a coffee shop. So it's really important to realize, like, well, obviously we're all at different stages in our life and you meet people at different stages.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we are all, you know, going through this life journey. And sometimes we forget that, you know, we're all we don't know what we're doing here. Like, what are we really doing here? You know, you go to work, you go to bed, you eat, you repeat, and then it's like, but there's a reason why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And if you don't stop and realize, then I don't know how your life will turn out.
Of course. But now, obviously, I'm still digging in because I'm very curious about, like, obviously, with your friend group, for example. Let's talk a little bit more about your friend group. So you must have been the wisest when it came, like, obviously, in your social group, I would say. Did you ever feel like being judged? Like they judged you, or they didn't understand you, maybe?
It's a good question. Thinking now, obviously I had different groups at different stages. And so in school, in high school especially, I found out there's 2 groups. So actually 3 groups. So you have the people who are academic, succeed, we're going to Harvard, Stanford, you know, Ivy League. This is all our dream. And then you have the people who want to party. And then a small percent who want to have balance, you know, want to have both worlds. And so I realized I was just drawn to people who were academic.
Okay.
But I had some people who were also balanced.
Okay.
So because I already had, you know, the balance that I needed, I was like, I need to surround with people who are successful. But what was really interesting, you know, my friend actually, she got into Stanford, a dream.
All right.
And I was like, wow, like, I'm so happy for you. Like, you know, it's a dream.
Of course.
And then I was like, you know, asking questions. And I was like, so what's your plan? What's your purpose? Like, what do you want to do after university? Like, do you really want to go there? And she didn't know. And I was like, I had a aha moment. I was like, we were sold this dream. But in reality, these people are so disconnected because they're just logical. You know, they're just thinking with their mind.
Yeah.
They don't know what they want.
Exactly.
Oh, my parents told me to do this. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do this. And I was like, wow. So I had to stop and realize that this was actually not the truth. Happiness wasn't Stanford. Happiness wasn't Harvard. Happiness was, I decide now.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's a big revelation. Maybe it should be taught in school.
Yeah.
Because we're sold the dream.
I completely agree. That's something that is so true. And when I reflect back as well, and I wish someone taught me this earlier, you know, because obviously you're taught that, okay, you need to choose a subject, you need to choose a profession. And I've had many talks with people where they told you, obviously, you needed to be either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, something big. And that's what makes you a living, because obviously it comes also from the fact that if you go back in the time, that was the secure job, you know, like there was no room to explore any other field that are currently you can have a living off it, you know. So that's amazing. But did you ever get bullied at school?
No. I think I realized, you know what I realized is, when you want to help someone but they're not asking for your help, you should just keep silent.
That's a good
because they will put their insecurities at you. They're gonna judge you.
Yeah.
But in the first place, you just wanted to help someone. And then they just give you a little like slap on the face and you're like, shut up, you shouldn't say that. Like, no, I don't believe this. And so you realize at some point that with the right people, you share the knowledge who want, and with the others, you don't.
Yeah.
But you know, I realize like, you don't even need to share the advice and like all of this wisdom. People see it in you. Yeah. They see it. And if they want to see it.
Yes.
So I think the most important thing for me was just knowing that, you know, if I'm authentic, if I show up as myself, I'm not perfect. There's no such a thing as being perfect. I think that's another thing that we're sold, that, you know, there's this perfect character we should be, like our life is perfect, and Instagram is very toxic for that. Because no, on the real, you know, on the real raw side, we go through things, we have feelings. And now it's talked more about it.
Exactly. That's true. Yeah. That is something I think in my time it was not discussed. At least I don't remember being discussed. You know, it was like, if you cry, you're a crybaby. I used to be called a crybaby. If you are, I don't know, you don't agree with what life looks like, you're a rebel, you're stubborn, you know? So there's always some kind of categories in exactly. But nowadays it's like, you're allowed to be whoever you want to allow. You're allowed to feel whatever you want to feel, because we're all human beings at the end of the day, you know? Now I want to know, so did you have any role models when you decided, and how did you know that life coaching would be the one?
Role models as in for life coaching?
Yeah.
I think I understood that when I was going through the pain and struggle, and I was going to, therapists, and, they help you with talk therapy, but the process takes a long while. And when someone's struggling with mentally, with a wound, you go to the emergency room. What about mentally? Yes, you have hotlines, but I understood that we just keep talking and talking and talking about the problem, but where you put your focus on is where you're gonna go. So it's a simple formula. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, I would show up every week to therapy, and I was like, okay, I have big expectations. I really need the help. And they're like, yeah, we're going to talk about it. And I'm like, when is the change happening? Like, I don't have 15 years. I want the help now. And I understood that, okay, we're maybe not a right fit, but I think as a therapist, they should have been, I can see you're much deeper and I can't help you. So they should have redirected me, because I obviously now it's an experience that I wouldn't trade for anything, because I understood that, things are proven, but some things can't be proven. And it's about the outcome. It's not about, if you're going to CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR, I tried both. And now when I have a good friend therapist, and I was like, he was asking me, who are your coaches? I would show up and they're like, you seem happier. And I was like, yeah, because I have a life coach on the side. And they're like, yeah, you should keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, wait a second. So I'm paying you. You're just telling me that I should go do something else, keep meditating. And I'm like, there's no point for me to continue with you, bye. And, then I understood coming back, my mom is my role model. She's, I don't know, she's God sent, the way that she didn't understand what I was going through, but she would find me mentors. And these mentors would just show up. And, it was just this beautiful life coach that my first life coach, she was talking in Russian, and I know Russian. And, I didn't know much Russian. So I had to explain my feelings in a language that, I know like 50%, because in Azerbaijan, I learned it in school. And, I'm trying to sit there and like trying to explain, like, this is how I feel, like, can you help me? And I instantly saw shifts, and I was like, what? Like, you're telling me that I wasn't told that if you just go back to your inner child, you talk, you heal the wounds. And your life just shifts. You don't continue with the same programs. Like, that's all you need to do. And I was like, wow, like, maybe this is what everybody needs to do, because we all need a life coach, in my opinion.
I agree.
We all have things, and, after work, you come back, you had that, maybe your boss rejected something, or you had a, bad call, you were calling your client, and those things store and they build. And as they build, if you don't realize that it's an issue, later it can become a disease. And a disease is not something that we should be scared of. It's your body telling you, hey, there's emotional storage, you need to deal with it. It's not something bad is in your immune system. It's your body's so smart. And if you can just work with your mind to deal with the root cause, the disease goes away. It's a symptom. You don't put, you shouldn't put on a wound a plaster. You should deal with it.
Yes, I agree.
So that's really what, I learned, that there's the classical way, and then, there's a way that's unconventional. But I looked at that and I was like, I don't really care which way I choose, but I need results. And the unconventional way gave me results. And then I started discovering, actually, this is what I want to do. And instantly, I didn't know that I used to lead meditations, and for like my mom and just close people. And I didn't know that I was doing the things that I'm now learning. I was leading people through hypnosis. Because it just came, I was just doing it naturally. And you can't explain those things. And, people would come to me, and I kept asking, why do you come to me in school? right? And they were like, because I feel like you have figured everything out. And I'm like, let me tell you, like, this is completely wrong. I have nothing figured out. I don't know why everyone keeps telling me, repeating the same phrase, whether I'm in a bus in Lithuania or I'm in Dubai. And I'm like, that means something is with my energy.
Yeah.
And I understood that, and I started guiding people. This girl came, she's like, oh, I don't know, I'm so like stressed, I have to choose a university, I don't know what to do, and I'm doing all of these 100 things. And I'm like, okay, first, you need to breathe. Everything will be fine either way. You need to understand, that you can't control everything. We really want control.
Yes.
Control is illusion. It's out of fear. And if you keep fearing it, you're going to keep attracting fear.
I agree.
So it's also something we need to learn, to surrender.
And I agree I can, like, it seems like you figure it out, like from what I'm hearing, it's like, wow, she knows what she's talking about. You did also RTT, right?
So I'm now doing RTT.
You're now doing it. Okay. Yeah. And how are you finding that?
It's amazing. I was just at home doing RTT. I have like, I think 4 more months.
Yeah.
It's so transformational.
I think you're in the same course that my best friend. She's also doing RTT at the moment. She's currently
Marissa Pierce. Like, I was like, wow. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm like learning about all of these things. And I was like, this is what I needed. Like, if someone would have just told me now, do this course and you're going to also help yourself and help others.
Yeah.
I would have done it. But obviously we have, it's a journey that I had to go through. And I don't regret going through all of these different, therapists. And probably by now I had like 20 mentors.
I mean, it's an experience, like we say, you learn from something. Is I've realized and I understood, and that's another reason for the podcast, is that I truly believe that you learn more through people.
Yeah.
And it's incredible because we all have our life experiences, and that's how you get the best life lessons. Now I want to know, obviously, because you mentioned your mother, and I want to know do you know how your parents felt like, obviously, seeing that their daughter is not so little and is actually very, very mature? How did they see that or take that on board?
I think when was the point they realized that I'm like more mature than others? It was just seeing how much I care about so many things and how, now we have conversations and things that hurt me. I was feeling already by a young age. You don't understand how smart children are.
Yeah.
And they feel and they tell you, like, and there's signs. So I think I'm really grateful, my mom always supported me, and she always, at first she didn't understand, when fears were happening, what was happening to me. Because, she was busy with her own life and her work, just to support us as much as she can. And, when you've never experienced these things and your child is having, some things, you may not realize the first signs.
Yeah.
And then people come in and out and they're like, wait, something is off, your child is, worried. Maybe you should, and it's not that, she gave so much attention and love, and it's not that she didn't see that, but she just never went through that experience. So she didn't know, she thought it was normal. And but my stepdad, we have a beautiful connection, and he was always the one like helping me, in homeschooling and things like that. With like, if I was struggling with a subject, like I remember he was teaching me how to write math. He saw that I was writing it like, I was supposed to write the numbers in the squares, and I was writing it like, woo, like circle. And he was like, wait a second, let me teach you the right way. How do you write in each? Like, he had so much patience. And that's why I think every person, like you say, has such a big mark, but you don't realize only after. That's why, your young years are so important.
Of course.
Because they shape your whole life.
100%.
But that doesn't mean you cannot go back, because to work through programs and things like that. Now we have the tools and the knowledge, so you can always, if you have things that are manifesting in your life that you don't like, you can go back to the root cause and just change, your trajectory.
How did you get that confidence that you were doing the right thing?
How?
Because I truly believe till now, sometimes I struggle with confidence.
Mm.
But I wonder, how did you build up that confidence into yourself and saying, okay, I got this and I can do this?
I started saying, you know, I come in a room and I'm like, how can I serve? This is not for me, not for my ego. There's a higher reason for this.
Okay.
So I stopped, you know, trying to have a perfect image. If I just show up authentically and someone can see that and someone can just take one message from me, I just know I did my job.
Yeah.
So I think you start realizing, you start having signs that you're on the right path. If you know, if you go out into a field and you notice flowers, you focus on flowers, you see flowers.
Yeah.
If you notice weeds, you'll see weeds.
Yeah.
So I think once you realize that there's actually so many messages that we miss out on, you know, like, I don't know, I was working with a client, and then after that, I felt such a beautiful energy, and then things just were flowing. And I was like, I know I'm doing the right thing, because I felt like such a beautiful energy that you cannot explain. So I think you need to really stop being in your head thinking, how can I be confident? No, like, feel, understand, maybe what are you lacking? What do you want someone to really tell you that you wish you heard when you were a child?
Yeah.
And tell that to yourself, because once you start healing your inner child and upgrading your inner child to this life, which RDT is teaching me, that you can have anything you want. And you're not gonna look for these things externally, you know, trying to find someone who can fill those gaps.
Yeah.
And you really understand that confidence is something that, you know, over time, you have to listen to yourself, tune in with yourself. And some days you're not gonna feel confident and you're gonna have these thoughts.
How do you deal with that when that happens?
How do I deal?
Let's say when there are days where you're like, okay, my confidence level is lower than usual. How do you deal with that?
I let myself feel it. I like to maybe go for a walk. I like to put myself into hypnosis, and I just like to feel and hear what I need to hear in the moment, and let those thoughts run. You know, why am I feeling this way? You know, did someone say something that hit me personally? Like, really reflect and understand, because usually on the days that you don't feel confident, it's not just because it was, you know, the 13th or the 15th.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason why. And if you really stop and understand, there's no right or wrong way. We do it through our own ways.
Yes.
Some people, you know, you tune out when you're putting music in the gym.
Yeah.
That's also flow state. You're also in hypnosis then.
Oh, really?
You don't realize. Or you're going, you know, in your car, you're driving the same route and you're listening to music, or you're also in the flow state hypnosis, because you're not realizing that your thoughts tune out and you can just be in the moment. Okay. You know, so I think a lot of people, when they're like, I want to calm down, like, you don't tell yourself I'm going to calm down. It's going to happen as an effect.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because if I'm like, okay, I'm going to calm down, breathe, I stress myself even more.
Exactly.
Realizing that I'm actually doing the opposite effect.
Yeah, that's true.
If you stop focusing, how can I be so confident, and realize, you know, what am I feeling now? Reflecting on that, confidence will come as an after effect, and keep, you know, doing things that really, you know, fill your soul. That's my advice.
I hear you. Now, my other question, which I'm very, very interesting, is that obviously now have you started life coaching already? Because you've been mentioning clients, yeah? Do you feel like people as well sometimes may be skeptical because you're still young? And you're like, oh my God, it's like, okay, she's like, I don't know, let's say me, for example, I'm like, okay, I'm 30 and I'm going to go to an 18 years old to do a life, for life coaching. How do you deal with that? Or do you think you have enough knowledge to help someone who's from like an older generation? Let's put it like this.
Yeah. So my first thing is, you know, okay, fine, it's valid. You know, usually we think age and wisdom, experience, it's a valid point.
Yeah.
But are you in a place where you really, really need the help and you would get it from anybody? Meaning that maybe you have a judgment that an 18-year-old, what advice they have.
Yeah.
Because you're comparing yourself to when you were 18. So that's already your judgment. That means you're already programming yourself. And I have these, you know, people, and, you know, I'm sitting in a restaurant and we're just talking. And what do you do? Oh yeah, okay. You're a life coach. Wait, how old are you?
Yeah, yeah.
18? No, like when I was 18, like what do you know? Like I would never like, do coaching with you. And I'm like, fair. But that's not my point to convince you that, I'm a valid coach. That means maybe you're not in a spot that you need help as much, or you have these judgments, and sometimes, I can challenge them saying, yeah, it's your judgment, but are you already blocking me out and not hearing what I'm telling you now?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people, are giving you gold and you don't realize it's gold.
Yeah.
Because you have you blurred your vision so much, and you have so many programs and filters, right? Every time someone says something, it goes through your filter system. And you just miss that someone just really handed you the most gorgeous piece of gold, and they're giving you this knowledge, but you're not ready to take it in. And I think that's always how I go about it. Now I'm like, I just laugh and I'm like, oh, such a great story. Just, it's okay. That means maybe they're not meant to be with me. And,
Yeah.
It's always, you're too old, you're too young, you're this, you're that. You always get judgments.
And do you think that obviously nowadays you have enough knowledge to be helping? Obviously, I can tell, but how do you explain that to people that obviously I have the knowledge and I know what I'm talking about? I'm not just here to sell something, you know what I mean?
I think it comes back with obviously getting, certification. You need that.
Of course.
That's why I got certified, in life coaching, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and now I'm doing the rapid, therapy, transformational therapy, RTT. Obviously, you need credentials. It's not enough to just say, because nowadays, everyone's like, I'm a life coach. I wake up and I can, be a life coach. And no, of course, it's valid to check, because if you're paying, there's energy exchange.
Of course.
You need to know who you're working with. So I think it's just important to, first of all, be open to it, understand, what's their story, what do they know, and just see the person as they are without putting your judgments.
Yep.
Which is really hard, because instantly usually when we meet someone, within 5 seconds, we think we know the person.
Yeah.
Like, this is how they dress, this is how they talk, I don't like them, or I like them. So you need to be really careful. And just coming back with, people are always different. Some people may need more time. You maybe need to first talk. Okay, what are your worries? You're worried about me not being, this professional, or that I'm too young, and, wisdom comes with this. Okay, valid. Okay, what are other worries? And so you work with them, understanding, where are these fears coming? And, if they reach a point that they want to work with you, okay. If, they don't reach that point, maybe they're going to work with someone else, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
So I think just letting go, I'm not trying to sell someone. That's not my goal.
I hear you. And that's beautiful. There's 2 questions in my mind, and I'm not sure which one to start first. And I'm like, which one do I? Okay, let me start with the first one that came into my mind. When you started this journey, did you, because obviously your purpose is to help others, doesn't that bring you into people pleasing? Or that the difference between people pleasing and helping people?
I think people pleasing is what we face. Many of us face, you're young, you want to people please your parents, make them proud. But I think you understand when you do it, because people pleasing, there's a gap in me, and I'm going to do something externally to get someone else's validation.
Yep.
Not I'm trying to help you. I'm in a position where I can see that, I'm ready to help you, and this person needs the help. It's not you. I don't think it's 2 different worlds.
Yeah.
And I think you can mix them up very easily, but, I'm helping someone not to please someone, because pleasing and helping, there's such 2 different feelings. And you understand that when, helping is genuine.
Of course.
I'm gonna do this because I really care for you, and I understand I went through this, I have the same, feeling. And people pleasing comes from a place of needs. I need this from you, you know? So you really understand when you tune in with your feelings. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I like that. Now, my second question that followed while I was listening to you is that obviously you're young, okay? We all know that. But you're taking on board people and you are obviously working with people, working with traumas, working people better themselves. We always talk about energy, okay? So you get people's energy. All right. And I'm a big believer of this. If you surround yourself with certain people, you will receive that kind of energy.
Definitely.
Now, obviously, this is now what you practice.
Yeah.
So how do you know that, okay, I am, because people reaching out to you as people that need your help. Okay. So they have a certain energy that would be lower than yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you will have to deal with them. How do you keep your energy high, knowing that obviously I'm going to be dealing with someone who might have a lower energy than mine? How do I make sure that after that session, my energy is still high and not gone the other way around?
Yes.
Because it's like energy exchanging. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big believer that there are some people that I now cut off my life, but there were some people in my life that I would have, and after spending an hour or even 10 minutes, it's like, I'm tired now. What's happening? Or I'm in a bad mood and I'm like, okay, I need to take a break, you know, or it will take, exactly. It will take time for me to be myself again. So obviously now, how do you deal with that?
Amazing question. Yeah, I had the same question. I was like asking, you know, my coach was like, so how do you make sure you stay in this high vibration when someone comes with like traumas and things that, you know, you're inviting,
of course,
a problem.
Of course.
So, and I was like, you know, there's some things you do before and after, and the things can be like, you know, visualizing yourself, you know, that this is like my energy is clean, and understanding that if I go to the level they go, how can I help them? I'm going to be together with them down.
Of course,
so you really need to separate, you know, that, okay, I hear your problem, dissociate, it's called. When you dissociate, you hear someone and you literally just, you know, separate yourself from them and just see them from like a third point of view. So, I mean, there's different processes, and, you know, some days you are going to get affected by the energy. Then, you know, after each client, you need to do a cleaning. You should, you know, because their energy, obviously, you connect, you know, you talk, you attach to each other, the energies align. So, you know, there's other ways where, you know, you visualize how the energy is leaving from your body, and these things that we don't know how to do, they're so essential, because if I come in and I take the energy, then for the next client, I'm not going to be ready, you know, and for yourself,
of course,
you know, you need to be in the best, purest alignment to help someone. So it's really, I think, important to, you know, not neglect these things. And, you know, like, you know, doctors, they have to wash their hands. It's their ritual. Same thing with, you know, life coaches and therapists. They need to have these steps they do. Or, you know, you take a moment, you put yourself, you relax, and you really just focus in and tune in yourself, understanding that, you know, whatever happens in this session, you know, I'm not absorbing it. I'm just letting it go. And you can already visualize how the client is already achieving the thing. You can already see how successful they are, how they're leaving the session with no problems, with, you know, their problems disappeared.
Of course.
So you're like a guide. You need to really understand how the energies work. And obviously it comes with experience. The more you talk to people, the more you understand, and you have those boundaries.
And how do you feel when, for example, you speak to someone and you relate to that person and you're like, oh God, like that person is me couple of years down the line, and you feel, I would feel a little bit like empathy. You know, I'd be like, oh my God, and I would probably, like me, if you ask me, I would probably give that person twice the love I would give to someone else, because I'm like, oh my God, you remind me so much of myself, you know? So how do you deal with that? How do you know that, okay, I understand you, I can see myself through you, but I'm still gonna be able to dissociate from that, you know?
So we were taught compassion and empathy. They're two different things. So empathy is, you know, you emphasize, you feel the same feeling, but you get involved with the feeling.
Okay.
Compassion, you understand the feeling, but you're gonna stay in the energy because you understand that you need to be in the higher energy, and you can help them.
Yeah.
Again, if you go down with them, you know, if you're sinking together, no one's gonna save you.
Yeah.
So you really, okay, you have a client, someone, you know, mentioned something, and you realize, oh, I feel, you know, I had those same feelings. First of all, you ask yourself, do I need to work this out later after the call? Is there something still holding me back? That's why I'm having the same feelings.
True.
Because when you've done the work, you can talk about it. You can talk about it, and you have feelings, but those feelings are, you know, they're in the past. You already cleaned yourself from it. So there's things you need to realize that are really, really important. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Laura, it's beautiful. Your story is remarkable. Like, honestly, I am personally very impressed, and it's beautiful to see that in today's generation there's people like you, you know, who's finding their way to help others, you know. Before we end, I would like to know, what's your 5 years vision? What's your goal for, like, let's say next year, next 5 years? What do you want to achieve, obviously?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. I mean, first of all, I want to continue this path I'm on, and you know, there's gonna be ups and downs, but I'm going to university now. I've decided. At first I was like, okay, you know, life coaching is not a bachelor, so that's why I did certifications. But then I was like, actually, it's calling me, and it's calling me, I don't know yet why, but I know the people I have to meet, the professors, you know, just the action of moving out from your home, really understanding, what do I want, what do I like, what do I don't like, and really connecting with yourself. So that's going to be now 3 years as an international management bachelor.
Okay.
So I'm really excited for that. I'm moving next week, so it's going to be really, really a very beautiful experience, and I can't wait.
You're going to Spain, right?
Yes, Madrid.
Nice.
And so that's going to be a big part of my experience, definitely. And it's also coming back to enjoy life, because even now, when I was in Dubai, and you know, you meet these entrepreneurs and you're like, wow, like I need to, like, you know, keep working, grinding and doing these things. But then you realize it's okay. You know, we're all on our journey. You know, you need to have fun. And so I was like, now, you know, I'm going to have the balance of having fun, you know, studying and, you know, all of that in a way that, you know, fulfills my soul. Because at one point you understand that there's actually more of us. Once you start working, and then, you know, you attract the same people, and it's crazy. You're like, oh, wow. Like, I went down the elevator, and then literally the same person, like with the same experience, just like crossed me, and like we talked. And it's like random things like that. You understand it's like a connection. Yeah. So I'm really trusting that there's a reason why. And yeah, I want to finish the RTT, and then combine that, you know, business, RTT, and try to, you know, continue being, you know, the purest version that I can, working on myself. Because coaches, you know, they say my therapist in coaching, they say I haven't met a therapist that doesn't need a therapist. Yeah. So, you know, a coach is not perfect. We all have feelings, and you need to realize that. So just making sure that I commit to myself that I need to continue working on myself. This journey doesn't end, you know, till my last breath. Yeah. So really just focusing on that, and then hopefully coming back to Dubai, because this place is such a connection. It's really interesting because I manifested Dubai. Okay. If I can share the story. Of course you can. Yeah, so it was really interesting when I was in Azerbaijan, and all my friends would come here for spring break. Okay. And I was like, Mom, let's go to Dubai. And she's like, Dubai? Like, what's there? Like shopping, you know? Yeah. Spending money, hotels. Like, what are you going to do there? And then, okay, we didn't go because COVID hit, and, you know. And then I let go that idea, and I had dreams of coming to Dubai without me ever seeing any pictures of Dubai. Okay. And then after, my mom spontaneously, like, they had a family meeting, and they're like, let's go to Dubai. And I was like, now? I don't want to go to Dubai anymore. Like, I let go of that idea. And now they were like, okay, we're going to Dubai. And I was like, okay, great. I didn't want to go anymore. Anyways, I trusted, you know, you have to follow what your parents want. obviously they were correct 100%. And I came here and I was like, it's crazy how I saw in my dreams the exact way that Dubai is, like the highways, the pavement tall. And in my dreams, I was going in the car, but I could never reach Dubai.
Okay.
And so I understood there was a message. And sometimes if you really tune in, you can understand there are things that you call woo-woo, and they're not woo-woo. You cannot explain these things. But they're exactly how your vision is. So, you know, I really just trusted, and I can see that Dubai is, I haven't been in a city that's this, you know, into wellness, entrepreneurship. Let's, you know, grow together. There's enough abundance for everybody. We can share.
That's true. That's true. Dubai is definitely, you know, the funny thing is, if you told me if you told me in 2019 that I would be in Dubai today, sitting with you here having my podcast, I'd be like, nah, never. And it's funny because sometimes you throw what you want to the universe and it comes back to you when you least expect it.
Yes.
You know? I'm currently going through a shift right now, like work-wise, that I cannot really mention at the moment, but it's teaching me something that I keep saying, that I will make the change, I will make the change. And then when the opportunity is here, there's fear that happens. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't make that change. You know, you feel like you're comfy, you know, and then you realize that where you are, suddenly it's not that bad anymore. But then I realize it's like, I want the change and I'm manifesting it, but I'm never taking the step, you know? And there'll be a moment where the universe is going to be like, listen, I gave you plenty of opportunities. You either seize it or you leave it, you know? So yeah, you throw it out there. So yeah, that is beautiful. So we don't have much time left, but before we leave, I have a little bit of a tradition. All my guests go through this, and it's a must when you come to me as well. Which actually, I introduced something. Before it was only the rapid fire question, but I recently introduced the what if. And I really like it because it adds a little bit of zhuzh to the ending. So, are you ready?
Yes, of course.
Let's start. What if you had ignored your calling and followed a more traditional career path? Where do you think you'd be today?
I think I would be a businesswoman. Yeah.
Okay. What if people never judge others based on their age? How do you think that would change the coaching industry?
I think there would be definitely many more coaches, and because they would be less, you know, worried about what other people think. So yeah, I think just more people in this industry really pursuing what they want.
Okay. What if you woke up tomorrow and felt like you didn't have all the answers? How would you handle that as a life coach?
What day do I wake up knowing all the answers? That's my first question.
Okay, that one is cute. What if your younger self could meet you today? What advice would she give you?
Yeah, I think she would just enjoy, live in the moment, really keep doing what you're doing because she's so proud of you, and just follow, you know, some days it will be hard, some days it'll be easy, but just keep going, because at the end of the, you know, it's this beautiful journey and you're gonna help so many people. So I think that's,
it's beautiful. What if failure wasn't an option? How would that change the way that you approach your career and personal growth?
I think I'm doing that, because especially, you know, just being 18 and, you know, realizing there's, you know, so many people in this industry, but just keep going and, you know, doing the work. Yeah, it wouldn't change what I'm doing now.
Okay. Last one of the what if. What if being young in this industry is actually your biggest advantage? How do you think it sets you apart?
Yeah, I think obviously because I'm young, so I still have so much to learn, but I'm also ahead of the game.
Okay.
So it gives me a benefit, because if I'm just 18 and I know this much, what will I know when I'm 25?
Yes.
So definitely the mindset and the opportunities that come with it,
Mm.
it's, just transforming my life. Yeah.
I love that. All right. So now we're going to move in the next segment, rapid fire questions. As the name says it, rapid fire answers. One word that describes you the best.
Whole.
Okay. Biggest misconception about being a life coach.
Afraid.
Okay. The best advice you've ever received.
One word.
A sentence.
Best advice. I think every challenge is a lesson.
Okay. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
That we're perfect.
Look at that. One thing you wish people knew about you.
That I'm a very wise soul, even at 18.
Okay. Age or experience, what matters more?
Okay, yeah, that's a mix. Experience. Yeah.
A book that changed your mindset.
I'm reading it. It's Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Oh, I haven't got that one yet.
I can send it to you.
I'm
It's
actually
amazing.
it's in my list to read. Oh yeah, okay. I like that. A quote you live by.
Live in the moment.
What's harder, giving advice or taking your own?
Taking your own.
One thing you still struggle with.
Being like more gentle, less criticizing on myself.
If you could coach anyone in the world, who would it be?
That's a great question. I haven't thought about that. Maybe I would coach like Mel Robbins or someone like Tony Robbins, just to really see, just to get a good experience and see how they coach really.
Okay, I like that. What's your biggest flex?
Being gorgeous.
I love that. All right, last one before we finish. The biggest lesson life has taught you so far?
One lesson, just to understand that I think every moment you can decide, you can change the trajectory of your life just by a choice, and not waiting for New Year or for anything, to come save you. You just decide now, and if you put the work, you will see the changes. It doesn't work other way.
Okay, I love that. Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you on board. I wish you all the best in this journey. Have a safe flight. Enjoy your experience in uni. And I hope whenever you come back here, you'll get a chance to come back on the podcast, or we'll have a chance to catch up over coffee or anything. I'm really amazed of your wisdom at such a young age. And I love it. I really, really love it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. On that note, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.